Welcome everyone to the Protoss Flame on Derelict Watcher, where we are going to get started here in the MSL Gold Division Grand Finals. Down here in the bottom left-hand corner of the map, we have the red Protoss player, Jordasniper, and his opponent up here in the top right is the orange Zerg player, Doublthreat, or Doublthreat, depending on if you like to pronounce your E's or not. I feel like that's probably because Doublthreat was actually taken and he had to remove some vowels. Either that or he's a big fan of leet speak. Either way, we have an ugly Overlord going out and getting some scouting done, and we have Jordasniper going down with the very forward pylon. This pylon is a little bit different than one right here, which it's important to note because a pylon here could still cover this whole area in psi energy. Which means that buildings could still be placed, but with this pylon here, is a little bit safer to earlier run-by attacks. So for instance, a 9 or 10 pool, which we won't be seeing. But, you know, Jordasniper had no idea that that would be the case. So, being a little bit more prepared, getting another building is part of the wall to help wall off this relatively large ramp. It needs another building, like the Cyber Core, and then another pylon, and then that should leave just a space for one zealot. The alternative is that you build a pylon back here and you do gateway, cybercore, gateway, which costs a little bit more money and takes a little bit longer to get up, so I totally understand that. We do see Jordasniper going to be trying to hide a probe, but unfortunately that was exactly where the Overlord could see. That will get cleared up, and that's a pretty big win for Doublthreat here. And Doublthreat, interesting, going for an early pool. Well, not early. He's just going pool first, and he goes pool hatch. Is he going to throw down a gas anytime soon? And interesting, this is the gateway expand out of Jordasniper. The gateway expand became a lot more popular here in Heart of the Swarm, as you have the ability to build a mothership core and use the mothership core and the Nexus cannon or photon overcharge on the Nexus to help defend. So that's something that's quite handy. And usually in Wings of Liberty, or for players feeling more defensive in Heart of the Swarm, they will build a Forge First. So a Forge First fast expand allows you to build the one... Oh, it's interesting. There's the Forge here. There is no Cyber Core. There's only one Gas Geyser down for both of these players. And it looks like Doublthreat will be getting his gas much sooner. But with only one Geyser, he's probably only going for speed for Lings and possibly going for Roaches, but to really mass produce Roaches off two bases, you kind of need two Gas Geysers. As they're not heavy in gas, but to produce enough of them to really be any sizable threat, you generally need to have about two Gas Geysers. With the only one Gas Geyser down for Jordasniper, it's clear that we're going to see some macro going on behind this. He wants to invest more in additional infrastructure. Ooh, this is... Pro tip, I would have actually built another building here and left the one gap here and built another pylon behind. That leaves these two cannons right here with this setup a little bit exposed. A little bit of a scuffle. Oh, he is going to get in with the scout. That's really big. That's a pretty big win as well. Going to check and see that second gas is not done. He does, or he should see that is researching speed. That should happen. Yeah, you can see it's kind of like trembling, kind of glowing a little bit. You can tell just by looking at it that it's researching, and at this point in time, the only thing it could be is speed. So, just something to know here. But yeah, down here, what this is doing is, first of all, there's a lot more surface area on this pylon, so this pylon could go down much more easily. That would depower this photon cannon for sure. The other thing is that having the photon cannons this far forward, and is in this case is part of the wall, it leaves them pretty vulnerable to an attack. This one's in a better position as it can't get surrounded by Zerglings. And this one's in an even better position because it's even farther back from Roaches. When playing against Zerg, it's generally optimal to put them back, like maybe right about right here. Something where maybe one or two Roaches can shoot at them, but most of them can't, and it makes them either shoot them one at a time, which messes up the AI in terms of targeting. The other ones will kind of freak out, or you have to target fire one of the buildings. And that's where this kind of weird pylon wall is a little bit, can be a little bit damaging in the fact that pylons only have 400 hit points, gateways cyber cores, all these other things have much more hit points, which means they're a lot more resilient. But it does look like we're going to have Doublthreat moving out onto the map. He's got the Roach Warren coming down. He does still... Oh, he does have 2 more gas geysers, and he's getting those upgrades started. Carapace upgrade. It's a really important upgrade against Protoss. Without this Carapace upgrade, if your opponent does +1, which they are currently doing, your Zerglings will die in 2 hits from a Zealot, or 2 attacks, or 4 hits, rather, because Zealots do 2 attacks per... 2 hits per attack? I don't know how to say that exactly. They sing twice, and it counts as 1 attack. Either way, Zerglings die in 2 hits, or 2 attacks instead of 3 attacks, and that's kind of a big deal. So good job there. We don't only see one thing. We don't see speed coming up quite yet. Do we even have a lair? No, lair's not quite done. This other gas geyser's also not down, which is a little bit interesting. That might mean he's trying to get up that 3rd base here a little bit earlier. And I would actually say against Protoss, who's, once again, being this passive, in terms of, look at the number of unit producing structures that you have. When you do specifically a Forge First Fast Expand, it's usually not until around 8 minutes that you can even start to have things. Right now there is 1 gateway, 1 forge, and just now a robotics facility. So look at the army value. That's not the army value. There we go, 9 army supply to 20. There goes all the extra gateways. There we go. So now he's going to be able to start ramping up, but during this time, it would have been a lot easier to throw down this gateway, or this, it's a hatchery, throw down this hatchery earlier on and get that economic advantage all the way up and running well before this time period, and then you'd have the additional economy that you would need to really combat this macroing Protoss style. Just remember, I say this all the time, but it still happens. Generally, you want to stay a base up on your opponents as a Zerg player. I mean, everyone wants to do that, but as a Zerg, it's really important because you have another resource that a lot of people don't really think about, which is larva. You need the extra larva to be able to continue to produce things. Unless you're spot on with your larva injects, then you can kind of do it off less, but you also just need more economy, because to build all these tech structures, you're sacrificing drones. One thing, you know, it's easy to say, you know, Zerg buildings are so much cheaper. Like, kind of. You have to kill a drone to get them. So a hatchery that's 300 minerals is actually 350 because you had to build and sacrifice that that drone. So the same thing goes for all these tech structures. These are all drones that have been killed by tech, if you want to think about it like that. So just something to keep in mind. We have a whole bunch of roaches out on the field. Armies, or active forces, still very much in favor of Doublthreat. But we do see extended thermal lance and the colossi starting to come out. We should have 2 robo, 4 gate. I feel like Jordasniper, you could have a couple more buildings. You've got quite a bit of a bank. One way to lower that bank and be a little bit more efficient is to have more unit producing structures. The other thing is that you've got lots of these gateways. And I don't know if I've been seeing them warp in consistently every time when they're able to. So that's one thing that's both a blessing and a curse with Terran. For instance, you can select all of your barracks, and you can continue to macro by just queuing things up. Once you have warp gate, you can't do that anymore. You have to like consciously build and place units, and you have to look at the little notification over here that lets you know when you're able to warp in again. And if you're not able to keep that up, another really easy way to kind of keep up on your macro is to throw down some additional gateways. So then when you remember that you need to build units, like, you know, you see right here all this army moving out, if you had 10 gateways, you can replenish so much more quickly. And that's one of the reasons that you see Protoss players start adding on additional gateways towards the end of the game. You know, they'll get something like 15, 20 gateways. So then in an engagement, when they lose all their army, they can come back and replenish it very quickly. We do see +2 Carapace finishing up here in just a moment. He's got 2 Evo chambers. Kind of surprised he didn't do +1 attack, or +2 attack and +2 Carapace, but to each his own. We have the Hydra Den. We have Roach Speed done. No burrow, at least no burrowed movement. I don't believe we do not have burrow. Good placement here for the most part of these walls. I would like to see this over here and even maybe this other one right here to kind of choke these units down a little bit more. We also see the Vipers coming out. Excellent move. Vipers are very important in a late game Zerg composition. Look at that. All these hanging out down here. These are for the Vipers, so then they can consume. There we go. 2.5 energy per second on each of these. See? They're going to actually eat their own buildings. It's a crazy idea, but it totally works. At least for the Zerg. We have the Hive up, obviously, as we have the Vipers out. I'm surprised that Jordasniper has not tried to move out and take another base at this point. This is a relatively large map. It's also relatively open, which means that, you know, to really move out, you need to have a lot of force fields and have the ability to do space control. But with this number of Colossi, he's got a very high-tech, high-powered army, and he should be able to come over here and take this expansion here. Just at this point, he's not taken the incentive to do so. And Doublthreat, nice job of getting some creep out, glooping things up, checking it out. Ooh, 136 average APM. I'm impressed. I no longer have that much APM. I've regrettably have not been able to play very much at all. A few times I can jump on the computer and play. I feel like I end up casting, which is not a bad thing. It's just every time that I go to play, I realize that I'm terrible because I have not had the time to practice. And it's amazing how much those mechanics slip when you don't have the opportunity to place them, to play with them. There we go. These Colossi marching their way forward. It's actually a relatively small army, and I think we're going to see a lot of abducts right into the Hydra and Roaches, and check that out. A whole bunch of the Colossi go down immediately as they are pulled directly into all of those ranged units. He's microing them back successfully, but these Vipers have enough extra energy. They could pull back and abduct a couple more. A little bit of a miss-abduct, in my opinion. He did pull them. The idea behind abducts is you need to pull them back directly into the giant clump. And so a lot of Colossi do remain, and he's going to lose a Colossi for free to spine crawlers. That's terrible. That's got to be very, very painful. These Colossi here are very, very vulnerable. There's no ability for Jordasniper to expand, and there's also no pylon. So this is all of the attack. These Immortals are going to be ignored as the Roaches crouch right up on those Colossi, and they're going to try to take those out. The Immortals doing lots of damage, but with the Colossi down, all the AoE is gone, and this attack should be cleaned up here really quickly, at least by the next wave of reinforcements. This one Immortal will probably survive, because Immortals are beasts. Okay, now the extra ones are coming in. Check that out, 21 kills. Almost all those were Roaches. Immortals are not to be underestimated. Still not able to expand, not really paying attention there. I would say generally, I was talking about APM before. APM is not an indicator of how skillful someone is, or how good they are with their build, or anything like that. But one thing that APM does generally correlate pretty well to is their ability to multitask. And this, see, there's all those gateways. He knows he needs to get everything out as fast as he can, and with only 4 gateways, he's not able to replenish that army and spend that bank fast enough. He's going to have a problem here pretty soon, though, as he's starting to mine out of his main. I still don't think he's noticed that he hasn't built anything. He's not been clearing out these overlords. This is kind of a blunder. In the meantime, Doublthreat totally has this other base up and running. He is up by over 100 supply. Wow. Active forces 4,500 and 2,100 to 1,900, 800. That's a big difference. We are getting +3 attack out from Jordasniper, and I feel like he could make some pretty good defenses here, but without getting that extra expansion, I feel like this is just going to be a matter of time. He should know that this attack is coming. He's got that observer there. He's trying to get more units out. We do have Templar Archives on its way. He wants to be able to get Storm out, perhaps some Archons, be able to deal with things. Missed 2 of those, by the way. That's always painful. And still, he's not taking any attempt to get rid of that those Overlords. Doublthreat doing a great job keeping his opponent contained here. One brave Roach, gonna go see what's up there, is met by lots of laser eyes, which is not surprising. The Vipers here can be a pretty big problem. He's got to spread out those Colossi and get them far enough away that he's able to focus down these Vipers, or with these High Templar, he should be able to feedback them if he's got good enough micro. So this is another one of those Okay, here comes the engagement. What's going to happen? What's going to happen? The Vipers making their way to the side. Oh, those are just begging for a feedback. He's pulling the High Templar over there, trying to get a feedback. Does he get it? He gets 1. He gets 2. He gets 3. Excellent. These other Colossi really need to engage in the fight, though. Ooh, missing on that is quite painful. He needs the other Colossi to engage. He's scared to engage because the Vipers are there, but either that or he's forgetting. Either way, this Colossi is doing quite a bit of damage. He's only got 5 kills, but man, lots of stuff went down right there. So, a good engagement for Jordasniper. He didn't lose very much, but the problem is he didn't gain very much. His opponent is going for a 5th base and going to Ultras. Does he have... Nope, he does not have adrenal glands. You research it here. 20% greater attack speed means that Zerglings are crazy good at taking down units, especially with +3/+3. So there is a little bit of an upgrade advantage for Doublthreat. He's got 3/2 instead of... Oh no, he's going to move out against this. This little particular portion of this should be fine right here, but he's going to see all of those Ultralisks, and he's going to be forced to retreat immediately. There's no Immortals here, and this army is going to go down very, very quickly to these Ultras. Although these Ultras don't have any attack upgrades, they do have 5 or 6 armor, which is painful. Gotta micro those. Micro those back. Gotta micro them back. Save the Colossi. The Ultras here gobbling up the rest of the army. No storm done. That's painful. No things left for Archons. Here's one of those pylons I was talking about. Pylons are vulnerable when they're placed in the wall. Not altogether a huge deal, but sometimes it does come down to the specific building placement. So these two are completely depowered. The wall is still complete, I do believe, although I think Zerglings might be able to run around that. Either way, there's nothing blocking anything here. We do have shields regenerating for the Protoss army, but I think with all these Ultras coming in, this is going to be very difficult to hold. See what Jordasniper can do. He's got those Colossi with the range. It's making it difficult to push up this choke. I just feel like it's going to be a matter of time. Jordasniper is struggling to replenish. His bank is going away. He's got a whole bunch of idle workers here. He's got 3 more mineral patches here. That's painful. Did he take out? He shot his own cannon. He knows he needs to make his way out. He's going to do it. Grouping everything together. Archons are quite good against biological. They're not quite as good against Ultras as Immortals are. Because they don't have any reduced amount of damage. Wow, I'm spending lots of money on those Zealots too. I think at this point in time I'd be spending a lot of money on gas-heavy units. But interesting, Jordasniper's not even going to be attempting to take out another base, or and get out and get another base. He is instead just trying to push out. Here comes some Immortals. Those would be invaluable against all those Roaches and Ultras. The creep spread here is still pretty good. Some of it's receded. I feel like that's been neglected at this point in time. This is a big deal, though. We have Enduring Locust coming up. Where are the Swarm Hosts? He's maxed. He's just getting ready to have Swarm Hosts. He wants to actually free up some supply here pretty quick, if he's really wanting to make the transition to Swarm Host. So the Colossi are going to try to get back. They are going to get abducted straight into the middle of all those ranged units. That's exactly how you want to pull off those abducts. And I think this is going to be pretty clear which way this is going to go. Nice. And I just went right back to the very beginning of the game because I can't click on things. My mistake. Whoa, fancy. We're almost there. Don't worry about it. 25, play. Here we go. We're going to watch that engagement again because it's awesome. Wow, sorry about that, everyone. The tension is still here, though. Can you feel it? Here it comes. So, rewatching that engagement, I want you to notice the positioning of the Colossi. He's trying to keep those in the back, which is good. This High Templar gets gobbled up immediately. The Archons here are struggling at the back. These are not being useful. These Immortals down here are doing pretty well, though. But notice the pulling of the Colossi directly into the middle of all the ranged units, and then they have a perfect surround on the Colossi, and the Colossi go down very quickly at that point because they're actually quite fragile. Archons do lots of damage, but not enough damage. So it looks like we're going to see a GG as it's down to 46 supply versus 165. Good first game. I think the biggest problem for Jordasniper is that you were a little bit light on gateways for a while. Then you went kind of nuts. You spent all your bank, and then there's nothing left to mine anywhere. Completely out of money. You never really took that third base, and I think that's probably the biggest problem. But excellent job, Doublthreat. You went ahead and took that. Wow, look at those. All those bases. Excellent job. So we're going to be back here with game number 2 in just a minute.